Okay, good afternoon. Can you tell me your full name, please?
Good afternoon, sir. My name is Rishi Karki.
How may I address you?
You can address by my first name, Rishi.
Okay, Rishi. So let's begin by talking about shirts. Okay, so do you like wearing shirts?
Yeah, I prefer to wear shirts. In comparison to t-shirts, I find shirts very much easy and comfortable. So wearing shirt is very much common for me.
In your school, was there a compulsory shirt that you had to wear?
Well, in my school, we were assigned to wear a definite shirts, and we have to wear throughout the week, and we were not allowed to use different shirts than the mentioned shirts.
So how comfortable did you feel as a child to wear a shirt every day?
Well, during the most of the week, I prefer and I find comfortable wearing the shirt, but we also had some kind of sports activities during the 2 days of the week. So in those days, I didn't find wearing shirts easy and comfortable because we used to play, and playing with the shirt is not flexible, and it's quite a bit difficult.
So has this changed these days in school?
Yeah, it has definitely changed, and we can find many of the schools that has assigned two uniform, one for the usual and other for the sports days. So there is a change in the uniform system of the schools.
So do kids these days love wearing shirts, or they would rather go for something more casual?
I think this time the students, they prefer wearing a bit different than the normal shirts because they want to try new and experience some kind of novelty, so they like to have different uniform.
Okay, let's talk about houses in villages of your country, okay? So how are the houses in villages different from the ones in the cities?
Well, there is a dramatic change, and the housing is very much different from that of city in the rural areas. In the rural areas, you can find very traditional type of house with very convenient, and the design of the house is very much primitive. While in the case of city, there are concrete houses, and the design and the structure of house is also very much different. So
okay, so what kind of facilities do you look for when you have to select a place to live?
well, first and foremost, I prefer if the place is quite accessible, the means of transportation must be ensured. Similarly, the other infrastructure of development like telecommunications, schools, hospitals are also crucial while selecting the place.
Okay, so in villages of your country, do they have the same kind of room structure like we see in the cities?
Well, in remote places, there is no any systematic division of the rooms because the house itself is very small and congested. So the people in those areas, they cannot find the rooms so that they can organize for the particular activities. So it's very much difficult to find such rooms and place in the villages.
Let's talk about summer for a while. Okay, so do you enjoy summer days?
Well, actually, I love the scorching summer because in comparison to the winter, it's very freezing, but in the summer you can hang out with the friends and visit different places. So the various foods that are preferred in the summer are also much more juicy. So I find summer more interesting than...
So what kind of leisure activities are popular during summer days in your hometown?
Well, I think the traveling is one of the most important for every people in my hometown during the summer because in the summertime they don't just want to sit in the house, they want to travel and explore the new places. Similarly, the extra and the recreational activities like swimming is also quite popular, and the public swimming pool and the private swimming pool that is offered by various restaurants are very much packed during.
So do you believe summer heat can affect some of the jobs that people do?
Well, I think it definitely has impact on the jobs, because if you are not in a room or in a job place where there is not enough ventilation and the air cooler, your performance is likely to be down. So the climate and the weather, it has a huge part to play in the jobs.
So what kind of sources are available in your hometown for an individual to get information about weather?
Since the digital technology and the information and communication service has taken a huge step forward, and there has been a paradigm shift from the traditional mechanical system to now the robotics, and even the artificial intelligence is being promoted. So for the weather and other stuffs, people generally rely on the news reports. Similarly, the various meteorological reports that are shared by the meteorological department of our country, they rely on those. Similarly,
so how reliable are those information? Do you trust them blindly?
Well, what I find common in those advertised weather report is that they tend to be similar in all the occasion. So when you have experienced watching the news bulletin of the, let's say, the first day of the week, the same weather report is likely to be continued in the other remaining days. So there is no more thing to rely on such information, since the weather is not very predictable.
All right, let's move on to the second part of the test. Okay, I want you to speak for about 2 minutes on a given topic. You could take some notes if you wish to in this piece of paper. And your topic today is to describe an apartment you have been to. So here's a question you need to answer. You have a minute. It begins now. Okay, that's your time. Could you please start speaking?
Now I would like to proceed talking about an apartment that I have recently been. Well, in my country there are so much development in the housing sector. For instance, you can take example of the Sunrise Housing that has recently introduced the apartment system. The one thing that I really admire about this apartment is that it is located in the central to the capital city in the new road. So it's the place of attraction for many of the people that pass by this road. The structure and the style of housing is so different that it tends to occupy both the primitive form and the modern engineering. So it's very much different. Similarly, the space it is built on, it has a huge space. So the garden it has been providing is very much large. Similarly, the garage of the apartment is very much big, and the parking is well managed in this place. The most important thing that I really admired about the apartment was that it was built on the basis of the mansion type of building, but there was some sort of peculiar primitive form of engineering, such as the roof of the house was built with the pagoda style, so it's very much primitive form of Nepali culture. So it has been successful to reflect both the modern approach as well as the primitive form of engineering. So I really like this apartment and love to have some flat if I could to rent, if I could to stay there, because the place is so fantastic that anyone who have the high dreams of living in a well sophisticated.
Thank you very much. That's the time. Can I have a question back? Okay, now that we're talking about apartments, so let's continue talking about accommodations in general, okay? So how do you think places people choose to live has changed in the last 10 years?
I think in the last decades, people, they try to be more conscious about the service facilities that are being offered by the housing and other apartment. So if there is a well-equipped rooms as well as the furnishing is quite ordinary, so people like to stay in those houses. But we must not forget the fact that you must be very much generous and rich enough to afford this house.
So what do you think are some of the benefits of living in a separate house rather than in an apartment?
Well, I think living in a separate house, it has more advantage because the sense of ownership is much more higher in the separate house than in the apartment. Similarly, although the apartment, they have the huge space and they offer the spacious rooms, but in the house you can live in a very friendly environment as well as the family can spend good in such houses.
So would you consider your hometown to be a vertical city or a horizontal one?
Well, I prefer to have my home as a very horizontal. I think in the context of the country like Nepal, we must be well aware about the geographical structure that we are in, since we were hit by the massive earthquake in April 25 in 2015. So rather than living in the skyscrapers building, I prefer to live in a detached house, and I find living in such house very pleasant and enjoyable.
Okay. Do you believe the capital city of your country and other major cities are being overcrowded and governments should turn towards vertical cities to accommodate more people?
I think although the capital city of Nepal, Kathmandu, is very much widely populated and the density of population is very much higher, rather than introducing new types of housing policy, I think the government must ensure the policy that the service and the facilities are diverse into the other parts of the country, so that the population here in the in Kathmandu, it can be shifted around the other places. So the decentralization is the key issue that this government must address, so that the population in the country will be managed systematically.
So what do you think are some of the problems that might be caused by overpopulation of cities?
I think there are huge disadvantages, and the problems is often high in the dense populated city. The one thing that every populated city has to bear is that they use traffic. So the means of transportation is not quite adequate for all the people, so the transportation issue also has to be mentioned. Similarly, the drinking water problem is also very much in the populated city. We can take as an instance of Kathmandu, where drinking water problem is huge and the scarcity of water is very much common.
So would you live in the outskirts of a city given the opportunity?
Well, I would definitely love to stay in the countryside than living in the wide dense city, because living in such place you can enjoy the fresh air as well as you can be escaped from the hustle and bustle city. So if I had given a chance to stay away from the city, I would definitely consider and accept that proposal.
So in your hometown, do people love staying in the outskirts?
Well, nowadays people are so much aware about their health, and the health issues are so much seriously taken by the people. So rather than living in a very environmentally populated place, people like to live in the towns, as well as there is a growing number of people living in the countryside. So it's very much common that people are migrating from very populated places to some widely some remote places, or let's say the town.
Okay, thank you. That's the end of your speaking test.
Thank you for watching the video, guys. If you enjoyed this one and would like to watch some more, do make sure you subscribe to our channel, hit that like button and leave some comments down below so that we can make videos according to your choices. Here are a few suggestions for you guys to have a look. Thank you very much for watching it once again. I'll see you in my next video.